It's time for the movie rate, movie review, and tonight I want to talk about Jaws Revenge. Jaws Revenge is a sequel to the other sequels like Jaws, Jaws 2, and so forth. But we all know that Steven Spielberg has done such an amazing job with Jaws, it became such a cult classic and still, to this day, terrifying, as you know. Now, Jaws Revenge takes place in the same place, same island, or at least resembling the same island from the first film, with remaining surviving members of the family from the first film. And the story takes place of one of the children from the first film is a police officer himself, or a deputy, and I believe it's New Year's, if I got that correct, on the holiday or close to Christmas. And so he gets this call. He goes out and has to like delodge debris or shoo a duck or something like that. I forgot, but he goes out there and he doesn't want to. He's just wanting to go home, but he has to do his job, so he goes out there, and things go well at first, and then he gets his arm chopped off from an unknown predator. Lo and behold, so that's where the story takes place, and he doesn't exactly make it through that ordeal. So, and this is where the horror starts taking place, and the mother from the first film, the original actress, also reprises a role in this, and I love the fact that they still have the same actors who reprise the roles, the remaining ones for the most part, and still have a little bit of a canon storyline from the first film, still talking about it, and still even giving props to Rob and everybody else involved with that. But the story, involving a shark, apparently is the infant of the main shark from Jaws, the first film, and I guess it's pissed off and wants to seek its revenge, as said in the title, to stalk and kill the remaining members that caused it pain to its mother, and what happened to the mother and whatnot. First of all, I want to point out that it's incredibly hard to create a horror film that involves any kind of species of animal, bug, insect, whatever. I can see it's very difficult to create something like that, and it's very difficult to even continue something like that, because generally it gets boring, if it's already been done. And I mean, how can you really exercise horror and suspense with this kind of animal or this kind of entity of species? How can you do that, especially if it's a underwater type species? It gets even more challenging that way. But this one, it involves a familiar nostalgic way. In a way, we see the shark in there, but the shark isn't exactly it's okay looking. I mean, sure, the shark looks like a shark, but to me, I don't consider this as a decent sequel per se. Story wise, no, it's it just builds up that suspense. It's like that aha, there, the shark actually has this, and so it's kind of like a cheap a cheap thrill, if you will. Seeing this shark go after this family, it kind of raises more questions, and I'm sure we get less answers for if we were to ask them. Meaning that where did this shark come from? Like what? Just out of nowhere. Now, granted, we never knew anything about a shark to this main shark from Jaws, obviously, and it's understandable that, the shark could have easily had kids. Sure, that's plausible. I'm not arguing with that. But, this is, why? Obviously for cash grab, but, story-wise, why? stalking a family, like it knows that this family, basically killed its mother or whatever, and so it decides on its own to go hunt them down from the exact location and so forth, and knows exactly who did it. That's just kind of weird to see that a shark would even know that. But I do like the fact that we have the same actress that played as the mother from the first film, reprising the same role, and same characters are as we recognize them from the first film of Jaws, which is great. I mean, I appreciate that, but like, this family moved on, and so we have to inflict even more confliction and more sorrow and more pain on the main, female actress character in the story. Is that it? And we're gonna like drive her crazy, batshit crazy, basically, of this terror of this shark, that's supposedly coming back. I just find it weird. Like, she just gets these feelings that all of a sudden something is stalking her. Like, oh, it came back, or oh, it knows. I don't know. It's just awkward to see something like this, infant shark, this kid shark, whatever, if it's an adult now or whatever, comes back for its revenge. And I mean, there's no real impact with this per se. It's basically as we've seen in Jaws, except obviously Jaws did the original design of the terror that inflicted in the first film. But in this case, well, now keep in mind, if you've seen the second film of Jaws, obviously the storyline of that. Jaws, cool, shark comes in, terrorizes everybody. I mean, we've seen the remaining Jaws sequels basically just reenact the same story as Jaws 1, right? But this case, this is a revenge on the family, and I also disagree with the whole illusion that, the woman has periodically throughout the story. Like, we even see the same, the raw footage of, from the first Jaws movie, some of the scenes, the husband. And I disagree with those moments too, because, like, how would she even know? She wasn't even there, man. I agree with that. I mean, I've read the statement about, a couple comments about that. Like, she wasn't even there of the events of Jaws when their boat was getting all messed up by Jaws itself, and the fact that the husband shot the shark and whatnot. And so, like, how would she even know this? Like, I mean, I guess in a way, if, obviously he told his story to her, sure. But there's no way she would, like, imagine what would have happened, okay? And some of these other things that, she had these feelings for, it just makes no sense, man. Like, it just, like, why? It was just unnecessary, in my opinion, for this kind of a sequel. And, it's just, it seems like, kind of a too easy target for something like this, for a shark to go after, the family, the same family, I'll get you guys, type of mentality. I mean, I guess in a way you kind of see it comical. And not only that, the sounds of the shark really just not so good either. I would also agree. Why does it sound like a lion or a tiger? Why? What's with the tiger roar? Now, I get the fact that they're probably reenacting from the ending of Jaws, the first film, but it doesn't do so well if that shark actually has the natural ability to sound like a tiger or a shark, an actual tiger shark. But I just feel like this is not the best Jaws film. It's not really that interesting. I mean, I see what they were trying to do. And, I almost respect it a little bit, but at the same time, it's like, man, it's just, half-cocked, and I don't feel like this is really even a sequel to even watch. I mean, I often wonder, though, like, how the actors involved, the ones that reprised the roles in this film, even agreed to do this. Like, did they think this was going to be a big hit, or at least a big moneymaker? I mean, I don't know, man. Maybe they just needed the money. I don't know. Maybe they were just kind of recycling or something like that, just so they can make money off of it. But I just felt that the ending was basically straightforward, and it wasn't really interesting. It wasn't impactful. I mean, we've already seen the magic of the first Jaws and what it was capable of and how it ended. And then, of course, we got Jaws 2, and sell this. If you've seen the storyline of that, it's basically, like I said, straightforward, point A, point B. And in a way, the further that we see all these Jaws sequels, the less of that terror we kind of see within these. Like, we just don't see that same magic because, once something like an animal inflicts that terror into a person, it stays with them forever. So, like, I have nothing but good praise for Jaws, the first film, because that's what gave real terror, because it's based off an actual predator. It's based within the confines of its own ego of being a killer, and it's terrifying. And how they made Jaws and the actual shark itself, oh man, it is terrifying on so many levels, man. It definitely keeps you from stepping in that water, man. So, having to see a sequel and another sequel of Jaws, it just becomes less and less impactful and less terrifying because, it's boring to watch. It's just repetitive. And it becomes eventually a cash grab, or in some case, they're throwing their money down the tube because people don't really want to see the same thing from the same predator over and over and over, even if it is a different shark or whatever. I mean, you could dress it up how you like, it's still going to behave the same way. So, like, I just see it's very hard to make something different, terrifying wise, make terror wise for a shark, to make it, to continue to get that induced terror and fear factor to the audience, not just story wise, So, I don't see it as a decent sequel, but I do respect that they did use the same, or at least reprising roles of characters and the main roles of the actors themselves. I appreciate that, I really do. But it almost seems kind of wasteful in a way. Like, why would you, you can make this story a little bit more of a different approach rather than, just one shark just stalking, this family and, point A and point B, and then we see the ending. I don't need to tell you the ending. I mean, I'm not going to, but I'm pretty sure you already know what the ending would be, even if you haven't even seen this movie. It's kind of basic, okay? So if I were to give a ranking out of a 10 on this film, I'm going to give it a 5. Because it's a point A, point B. It's the story itself is just, it's mediocre, man. Like, wow, the shark had a kid. Oh, shocker. What? And, again, certain scenes where the mother was having these feelings and delusions, or maybe those flashbacks or whatever you want to call them. It's just, I didn't feel like it fit very well with her character, and not only that, it just kind of seemed like, when you look at it, it just seems downright cruel to make her go through that emotionally, just tearing her away. She's already lost her husband, and then she loses her other kid or whatever, and my God, I have, it's more like a sympathetic, feeling for this than terror, But I just feel like, it was so driven mainly on this, so the focus was so much on basically her freaking out half the time. I feel like they just didn't put enough of that as suspense and, like I said before, terror, the fear factor, it has to be strong with this, even if it is a descendant or kid, from the first shark of Jaws or whatever. But let me know what you think about it. You think that this film was like the worst? I mean, it's not good. I don't want to say it's the worst sequel, but I definitely don't think it was worthy as far as the same status as Jaws. No, definitely not. But give it a watch if you haven't seen it. Let me know in the comments what do you feel about that shark. I mean, do you feel like the shark was just pretty mediocre itself? Didn't act very well either. But yes, that's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10, based on who was in it, and at least I get half a point for trying to make a different direction for this. But pretty mediocre.